Hi Sagittarius, I'm EllaAradia and welcome to your May 2026 Psychic Tarot reading. This reading is for my Sagittarius fire signs, where we'll be exploring the overall energies and themes for the month ahead, as well as taking a deeper dive into how these might be playing out for you in your life. This is a general reading, so it's going to resonate a little bit differently for all of you. But what I do find is there's always a shared theme that runs through the collective of all of you Sagittarius signs. So it may show up in different areas of your life in slightly different ways, but the theme is always the same. So take what feels aligned to you and just leave the rest. And before we jump in, a big thank you to all of you who are supporting my channel by liking and subscribing. So if you enjoy this reading and you haven't already done that, please do. It helps the channel out a lot. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and then you get notified when the next videos are up. So Sagittarius, let's jump in. So I always like to tune into the energies first, Sagittarius, before I start pulling any cards. I'm a psychic reader, so I like to also see what the universe shows me. Feeling a little bit of a process of what we call sorting and sifting. And I feel like there's a group of you which may have in recent months or even the last couple of years, let's say, come out of quite a challenging connection, which to me feels like it had a lot of elements of kind of toxicity in some way, very one-sided. And I feel like there was a lot of, settling for less. I feel like there was a lot of, let's say, sending a message of saying yes to what you don't want. And it doesn't mean literally saying yes, but I feel just, staying in something for longer than you should have, that was unhealthy. Maybe not always voicing things that were bothering you. Letting things slide. Sent, let's say, a subconscious message that you were saying yes to that, rather than saying no. And I do feel at some point you became aware of, the soul lessons, what this experience was really teaching you in terms of, standing up for yourself, speaking out, really voicing your desires, your needs, and what you want and what you will accept, what you won't accept. And I do feel that, you found your way out of that. And there's been a period of time where, it's been quite a challenge. There's been some difficult emotions. There's a lot of processing that's happened, a lot of healing. And I feel like you've got to the point where you're kind of ready to be out there again. It's time for a fresh start and putting yourself out there, making new connections. But what it feels like to me is like a string of connections which have just led to disappointment, where, someone's not stepping up in the way that you need them to. They're falling short somehow, or they have some of the qualities that you're looking for, but not all of the qualities. And I do feel that, there's a little bit of a feeling of disillusionment happening here. But I feel like it's important to actually recognize what's happening here, because I feel like this is some kind of, like I said, sorting and sifting process where you became aware of the soul lessons and the ways in which you needed to step up for you. That was the learning of that past connection. It feels like a very deep soulmate connection in your past, but very challenging lessons for you. And I just feel that, you really have taken that, and even though it's been hard, you've really worked through that. You've really understood what you needed to learn. And that's the first step. But the next step is to actually embody those lessons and to demonstrate it to the universe. And that's what I feel this process is. And I think it's important to recognize that rather than, perhaps getting disillusioned, that, this is giving you the opportunity to really say, no, that's not what I want. I won't accept that. This is what I actually want. And, this is what is going on right now. So it's part of the soul lessons. It's the embodying of it and really giving a clear yes to what you do want and a clear no to what you don't. So with your overall energies, we have the Tower, which is, I feel, the energy that many of you are just kind of coming out the other side from. This Tower may represent this past connection that broke down. Sometimes it's a sudden change. I mean, I feel like there's been, issues for some time, but the ending may have felt like it kind of came suddenly. But the Tower always comes in when change is needed. And what is breaking down is really just, what wasn't working, anything that was really built on, false foundations, illusions. And how you approach this is very important as to how you come out the other side, because the Tower always clears the way for, something that is real and something that is more aligned, with who you are now, who you are becoming now. What lies in your recent past, these Six of Swords, a transition, moving away from a challenging time, which is what I feel in your past. Some of you may have been dealing with somebody who was perhaps a little bit narcissistic. I am getting these kind of toxic kind of feelings about this past connection where it feels a bit one-sided. It was a lot about them and not much about you. And the invitation always was, for you to develop a stronger sense of yourself. But there was a fear to let go, a fear to stand up for yourself, that you might lose this person, that you might lose their love. But I do feel at some point, that self-preservation has kicked in and you've understood, what on a deeper level, on a spiritual level, in terms of soul lessons, this was really teaching you. And, this is some kind of transition. So we've got the Tower, change, a moment of a transition where, you're moving away from choppy waters towards calmer shores. You're moving towards a place of healing. This is all about overcoming difficulties, obstacles, challenges, and moving to something, calmer, more fulfilling. And your current energies, the Nine of Wands, the ending of, something that, did have a lot of history, and the Nine of Wands, after that comes a 10, which is the completion of something. And, the Nine of Wands, it's often something or somebody that we've invested a lot of our time and our energy into. But there's been a cost, a little bit like the figure on the card who just looks absolutely exhausted. There's been a cost to your energy, feeling drained, to the point where, it probably felt very often that you were the one, kind of carrying things and putting the energy in, but the cost was at, your energy, your happiness. Because, ultimately that was something that you were not really receiving back from them. Very one-sided connection. Your feelings towards your situation, we have the Hierophant. Now, in a love reading, this really speaks of commitment. And I often feel, the kind of connections which are built with somebody who, you have shared values with. This is all about commitment, strong foundations, and, really building something, for the long term, that's going to be secure. And I definitely feel, that was what you were intending. That's what you were working towards. But I feel like you were dealing with somebody who just perhaps wasn't ready for that, not able to really give you, that commitment that you want or you wanted. Sometimes with the Hierophant, this is what I call sometimes the counseling card, and it might be at this time, to seek out guidance from, perhaps a trusted mentor, somebody like that. It's always good to, kind of lean on our support network in difficult situations. It's also a card of keeping the faith as well. It's the Hierophant, and it's our connection to the divine and the divine within us, and really trusting that, we are being guided, we are being supported, guided, protected, and it's all about keeping the faith, because I do feel like it's been a real challenge with these energies of this tower, however that relates to you. This is often a huge change that comes in. And it can very often be something, that is, a real challenge to handle. And so with the Hierophant there, that's about keeping your faith. What lies in the challenge is the devil. Breaking free from old toxic behaviors. Breaking free, letting go of this past connection and all of those dynamics, which, I was mentioning earlier. But it's also about you, really taking accountability. This is a call to, work on your own healing here. And like I said before, breaking free from those negative patterns in you that kept you, in that connection in the past, kept you there for longer, than you should have been, longer than was healthy for you. And, with the devil there, that really is a call to, integrate your shadow and break free, that you do have the power to break free from, whatever those old patterns, behaviors, limiting negative beliefs that you might be holding about yourself. And it's important to recognize that you do have that power. What lies in the hidden influence is the Fool. So with all of this change, what you're not seeing is there's some kind of new beginning for you. So the hidden influence is very often an energy which is impacting a situation or a connection which we may not be aware of. And in this case, it's some kind of fresh start. The Fool is the first card in the major arcana, and it represents the beginning of a whole new chapter of you stepping into a whole new version of yourself and doing that, with an open heart, with curiosity. And even if you don't know what the destination is just yet, it's just about embracing that. And really, you will be guided. You will be guided. This is just about you stepping into a new phase in your life, a new version of you, a more healed, whole, and complete version of yourself. And really just trust that, you are going where you are meant to be going, wherever that leads. With your advice from the universe, the Seven of Cups, this is a card of options, a little reminder that you do have options. There are many potentials. Each cup has something different in it. Each cup has potential. And really moving forwards, the choice is yours. And this is what I'm feeling this kind of sorting and sifting thing is, in terms of, for those of you that this does relate to love. But it's really important to, I feel, really integrate you know, any old unhealthy patterns, let go of old versions of yourself which really no longer serve you, so that you can make a clear, healthy choice. Because the clouds around the cups in this card can sometimes represent illusions, and where we can sometimes have a clouded judgment. So it's so important, I feel, to just, you know, really work on whatever it is in you that needs healing, so you can move forward in, you know, a clear, healthy way. And at some point, you know, there'll be a choice to make. And, you know, there's lots of possibilities. And at some point you can take an action. You can choose one of the cups. You know, that's what happens. First of all, there's, you know, there's options and possibilities. And then at some point, you know, we make a choice and something can then manifest for us. What lies in your outcome is the Five of Cups. This is often a card of looking back on the past. And very often it's when we're looking at what's lost. It's a card of disappointment, sadness, sometimes regret. And while it's good sometimes to go back over the past, you know, it's a way of perhaps integrating, you know, an experience, learning soul lessons. It's very important here not to get stuck looking back on the past, because there's two cups still standing in this card, and those are the blessings. And it's very important to remember that, you know, whatever the situation is for you, the two cups that are still standing are what there still is to salvage from a situation, you know, whatever that might be. You know, they are the blessings. You know, every cloud has some kind of silver lining or a lesson or a blessing for you. And so just a little caution, don't be looking back on the past so long that you don't see these two cups which, you know, are right there behind you. So Sagittarius, I'm going to leave that there. If this reading resonated, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, no matter what comes through in a reading, moving forwards, always trust what feels right for you. So thanks so much for being here, and I wish you a great month ahead.